2. That's not just a random number, and no, it's not just only Austin Cindric's car number. It's also the amount of Sundays until we see a NASCAR Cup Series car back on track. 2 weeks away from the Busch Clash at the Coliseum. But before we see cars on track, we have to see what some of these cars are going to look like before they hit the track. Now, not all of these are going to be run at the Clash or anything, but we're going to do our first of at least 2 videos looking at some 2024 paint schemes. Now, this is not all of them. I think there's about 15 or so that we're going to look at, a variety of drivers. So we're going to look at them. There's some that I like. There's some that I don't like. So let's just get right into it with Josh Berry. Josh Berry with his old Xfinity sponsor, now bringing up to Cup. Harrison's. We talked about this paint scheme a couple of days ago. Didn't really go into too much detail, but it's nice. It's somewhat simple. It's got that kind of darker green. It's got some gold on it, white as well, and you know, it's kind of it's unique how the lines go, and it also flows a little bit. It's not too random. It's a solid paint scheme. It's not anything too crazy, but it's also not bad. I'll give it like a 7 out of 10. I like it. It's not too bad, not too crazy. Next up is Kyle Larson's Valvoline scheme. This scheme has changed quite a bit over the past couple of years, and now it has been changed yet again. We have a white top of the hood and white top of the car, a red bottom 2/3 of the car, really. You got some navy, some blue down there at the bottom of the car and on the back of the car as well. The number on the roof is blue as well. It's not a bad paint scheme. It's just, I personally like the older Valvoline schemes better, the ones where they were mostly red. Yeah, I wish it was more red like it used to be. It's, once again, it's not bad, but it's not my favorite Valvoline scheme. We'll give it a 5.5 out of 10. It's, as I said, I've seen better Valvoline schemes before. Now, next is one we haven't seen before in terms of the sponsorship, and that is Rebel Bourbon. We talked about them a couple of days ago when we were talking about Kyle Busch sponsors in 2024. Well, this is one of the new ones, and he's got a new look as well. And here's what I really like about this paint scheme is it really plays to the brand, which is what you're supposed to do with a paint scheme, obviously. You look at this and, you know, you hear Rebel Bourbon. That makes me think of like the 1800s, the Wild West, you know, cowboys, gunslingers, that kind of thing. And that is what this car tells me. It's black. It's got kind of that cowboyish look or that Wild West look. There you can see some different designs. It's not just a solid color. It's got that font that's kind of a saloon, something you'd see in a saloon. Obviously you got the name of the sponsor itself. I wish they used the rear part of the car a little bit more. They got some open space there. But overall, I really like this paint scheme. It's a really good look. It really plays to the actual sponsor itself. And as I said, it gives me that vibe of an old-timey 1800s Western. So, yeah, I really like this paint scheme. It's a really good-looking car. Can't wait to see it on the track. 8.8 for Kyle Busch. 8 and 8. Next up, we got a couple of Chase Elliott paint schemes. The first one we're going to look at is the Napa paint scheme. They have finally gone back to the blue. They've been doing the white and blue for so long. They finally opted to do a majority blue car or an all blue car, and I like it. It's not too crazy. It's also not really super, you know, I don't know how to say it. It's not super designed, I guess. There's not a lot of lines. There's not a lot of twists and turns, but I do like it. I was a fan of that 2017, 2016 all-navy car with a couple of random lines in there. I think the 2017 car had some yellow in it as well. I really like the majority blue car with a little bit of yellow in there. I will say the yellow stripe in between the 9 and the Napa feels a little bit random, but it does kind of fit the shape of the Napa logo. It's not bad, but I do like it. It's let's give it a 7.5. I do like this Napa scheme. I like it better than last year's. I thought 2022's was pretty good as well, but I like the majority blue. Now, next up, this paint scheme is better. I know a lot of people like the Hooters Night Owl paint scheme for Chase Elliott. That was never my favorite. Don't get me wrong, it was a good paint scheme, but I always thought there was more potential for the Hooters paint scheme, and there had been better. Like, I really liked, I think it was the 2018 or 2022. I thought those Hooters paint schemes were better, but look at this one. We've got some burnt orange going on. Maybe I'm biased because I'm a Texas Longhorns fan, and the burnt orange makes me happy. Maybe that's it, maybe not. I don't know. But you got the burnt orange, you got the black, you got the white. It all fits the Hooters color, and they use up the space. Look at that. They use the actual word Hooters all the way to the back of the car. You got the owl there to fill up the awkward space in between the word Hooters and the 9. The colors flow well. The stripes kind of fit a groove. The only complaint I have with this car is on the hood. You have that black spot closer to the windshield and that little gray line. I wish they would have just kept that all orange, and this might have been the perfect scheme for Chase Elliott in 2024. But because of that, I'm going to have to take a couple of little tenths of a point off. I'm going to give it a 9.5. This is my favorite paint scheme for Chase Elliott in 2024. I love the orange, as I said. I love the black. I love the silver kind of thing, the white number. It all looks great. It flows perfectly. Good looking car. Now we go to the defending champion, Ryan Blaney. It looks the same. Penske, good job with your creativity. 5 out of 10. Next up, we have Stewart-Haas Racing and Chase Briscoe. Not a lot of change on this one, kind of like the Blaney paint scheme, but I do like the Mahindra paint schemes. I always have ever since 2022. They use up the space well, everything flows, and they even add a few small details like they did last year with some dirt at the bottom of the car because, you know, tractors, they get in dirt and all that stuff. As I said, I've always liked this paint scheme. At some point, they're going to have to probably change it up, yeah, but I really do enjoy this paint scheme. It's a 8 out of 10 for me. Next up is Prosper, Texas' own Chris Buescher. He has a new Fastenal scheme, and it has some black in it as well. So let's take a look at this thing. This thing has been on track already. It did the test at Phoenix back in December of 2023. As you can see, you got black on the front, black on the back, and then the middle 2/3, I guess that's 2/3, is all blue. It's a good looking race car. You got the chrome numbers once again. I will say, I think 2023's Fastenal car was the best look that Fastenal had with the hectagons or whatever those things were. You had the all blue, and then at the night races, you had the all white. I thought those were two of the best Fastenal schemes. Now, don't get me wrong. This is not a bad Fastenal scheme. I think it's better than the 2022 one, but it's not as good as the 2023 one. I'm going to give it a 6.7 out of 10. There's no hard calculation on this. It's whatever number pops into my head. And for this one, it was a 6.7. It's a solid paint scheme, but there's been better in the past. Next up is the Christopher Bell Ream car. And I have two thoughts on this one. Two main thoughts. This is the best Ream scheme that Christopher Bell has ever run. It reminds me of his Xfinity Ream car a few years ago. I love that they're using the white. I talked about how I didn't like the white being used in the Valvoline. I didn't like the white being used in the Napa. But here, the white is used perfectly in this paint scheme. The way they kind of slash it through the car all the way from the back to the front, across the front bumper, it really makes the black number and the black sides, it kind of makes it pop in a sense. No, it's not like a neon yellow, a neon green, or anything crazy like that where it's eye-popping and you can't miss it, but it makes it stand out a little bit more than it would if those lines were, let's say, red, which is what they have been in the past. No, it's not a huge creative difference. It's still basically the same design, but I really like that they made it white because I really like this paint scheme, actually. And the top of the car is white. All three numbers are black. It's a good-looking race car, but my one problem, these NASCAR teams did all this research, all this studying, all these paid scientists to do this analytical, detailed research of what happens if we move the numbers up and give them more sponsorship space. Will sponsors buy into it? And the answer was yes. Why? Ream, why do you refuse to use the back of the car? Why? Look how much emptiness there is back there. It is so annoying. We move the numbers up for you to use all that space. And what do? You don't use it. if they just put another Rheem, not even a Rheem logo, if they just put the words Rheem back there, if they let someone else put a word back there, what's another Joe Gibbs Racing sponsor? DeWalt. If they just let them put DeWalt back there, it would... I hear sirens. That's not good. It would be perfect. But because of not using that space that was so much money or research or whatever spent on and everyone was screaming about, I'm going to have to take a full point off. I would have had this in the low 9s. Realistically, I'm thinking probably a 9.2. But because of not using that space, you're docked down to an 8.2 Rheem. Great looking car, but use the space. Come on, Joe Gibbs Racing Rheem. I know you're better than that. Still a great looking race car. Next up is the DeWalt paint scheme. And it looks very similar to the 2023 version. I personally love the 2022 version of the DeWalt paint scheme. I'm not saying that this is a bad looking car. It screams DeWalt tools. It's got the yellow, which is their color. At the bottom of the car, it looks like tool parts in a sense. The way the gray and the silver kind of clash there on the bottom line. You got the black in between the yellow and the gray silver. It looks like a DeWalt toolbox in a sense, which is, that's the point of it. Once again, I thought that 2022 DeWalt scheme was the perfection of the scheme, but this is still a really solid paint scheme. Christopher Bell's going to have some good-looking cars on the track this year. And once again, if it wasn't for that Rheem not using the back of the car, they would have been over a 9. And I can't rate this one better than the Rheem car because I truly do love that paint scheme. So I'm going to put this at an 8.0 flat. Now we go to defending champion Joey Logano. Actually, no, he's not the defending champion anymore. I forgot. Oops, my bad. It looks the same. Like, when Penske had the Logano scheme from 2013 to 2021 on the Gen 6, I get the consistency running the same paint scheme, and I actually like the Penske stripes, the red. I really liked Logano's 2013 to 2021. Yeah, people wanted it to change, but I thought it was fine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. There is zero creativity in this paint scheme. Get those Penske stripes back. Do something, please. I don't like this paint scheme. Straight up, it's just yellow. I could have designed this. Penske, please come up with a different paint scheme. 2.2 out of 10. Now we get to one that... we're now to the frustration part of the paint scheme review. You guys know I'm a Jeff Gordon fan. I love the 24. I love the Exalta 24. And when I first saw this, I really liked it because I only saw it from the front. This is basically a two-parter in this review. The front part of the car is beautiful. They brought the flames back. It's white hot, like flames. You got the red. It's beautiful. Right at the 24, right at the halfway point of the car, it's beautiful. Then you look at the back of the car, and what am I looking at here? The random black box around the word Exalta, the random black, what is that, a triangle? What shape is that on the back of the car that's black? There's no use for it. You got to commit, Exalta. Are you going to do an all black flame scheme? Are you going to do an all white flame scheme? You've got to make up your mind. Back when they did the flames with Byron at the beginning, it was essentially a copy of that 2014 and 2015 Jeff Gordon Flames car with the black and the yellow flames and the orange and red flames. Then when Byron came around, he took that scheme. But then Exalta wanted to give William Byron his own kind of, look. They wanted to give him something that defined William Byron and was not just a copy of Jeff Gordon, which they did. I love that Exalta scheme. It screamed Exalta because you saw multiple colors. You saw the green, the yellow, the red, the orange, the blue. You saw all these different colors and they popped on the track. When I went to a race and that Exalta 24 was on the track, that car popped. I knew where to find it. Whether it was right in front of me, whether it was on the complete opposite side of the track, I knew where William Byron was because he had the Exalta 24 where the colors popped. I don't know why they went away from that. That scheme was fine. You could have run that scheme the rest of his career. I would have been happy. And I get wanting to change, wanting to look different every once in a while, but once again, you've got to commit. The front half of the car is beautiful with the flames and the white, But the random boxes around the word Exalta and then on the back of the car just makes no sense whatsoever. The front half of the car is a 9.8 out of 10. The back half of the car is like a 3.2. That comes out to a grand total of a 6.5, I think. That's probably being generous. That's probably the Jeff Gordon in me giving him a little extra points. Let's just bump it down to a 6 flat. Yeah, as I said, front half, beautiful. Back half, what's going on? And now we get to my least favorite 24 paint scheme. Raptor takes away from Exalta, and that's what's so annoying. Last year, that Raptor car, the 2022 Raptor car was awful. Worst paint scheme I've seen on the 24 maybe. And it took away from the beautiful Exalta scheme. And then last year, the Raptor scheme was a little bit better, but the Exalta scheme was still supreme. And they continue to take away from Exalta. Now this year, the Exalta scheme is not as, great, so taking away from it is not as much of a crime. But what is this? What am I looking at here? Raptor, thank you for not doing the black and white again. That was not great. And thank you for not doing the all gray test car again. My God, that was awful. So at least they did a little bit more creativity. They used their Raptor green this time, which I appreciate, using a different color. But what's going on the hood? Why does the black come all the way to the clips where you open the engine hood? Why is it coming up that high? It should not be coming up that high. The back half of the car has too much black. Just continue the green all the way through, if you ask me. The Raptor claws are kind of unique, I guess, on the front, but I'm a hater, as the kids say, and I just don't like Raptor because they take away from Exalta. I'm still salty that 2022 and 2023 didn't see that beautiful Exalta paint scheme because we had to stare at the Raptor paint scheme. And that'll probably happen again this year. Once again, the Exalta paint scheme is down a little bit compared to usual. But the Raptor, I can't with Raptor anymore. Out of the 3 Raptor schemes, yeah, I guess it's the best out of the 3 Raptor schemes, but that's not saying much. I still don't like it as much as the Exalta. 5 out of 10. I'm sorry, Raptor, but Exalta is better. Always has the better look, and I know I just bashed the Exalta look, but the Raptor look is not good compared to Exalta. Bring back the old Exalta look, please. Now we go to the 43. We've already seen this paint scheme before. We've seen it on track at the Phoenix test with Erik Jones and Advent Health. It's weird seeing that on a Toyota body, the 43 and Advent Health. I really like the Advent Health scheme with Chastain because they used the watermelon and it looked great. It was over a 9 out of 10. See, this one is just, it's solid. It's, it's got the blue and the green and the light blue. And then you got a few things going on. You got the gold, the Legacy Motor Club gold on the outline of the 43. It's unique. But it's nothing, insanely special. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. 7 for Jimmy Johnson's championships. Now we go to Alex Bowman's 48. You guys know how much I loved Alex Bowman's 48 cars last year. The night and the day scheme. I said the day scheme might have been my favorite 48 paint scheme since Ally joined, or it is the best 48 paint scheme since Ally joined. I love that daytime paint scheme. I love the nighttime paint scheme as well. Then there's this. I like that they used purple because they used to have that black base paint scheme and that was not good. So I'm glad they used purple. But there is a lot going on here. Ally had their design a car challenge last year where you could design a car however you wanted. They gave you some prompts and, the winner got their car used at Homestead. They got to go to the race, yada, yada, yada. This looks like one of those where they gave you all of the logos. They gave you the palm tree branches. They gave you kind of the scales. They gave you the blocks. They gave you the stripes. And someone just threw it all together and slapped it on the Ally car this year. With the pink and the teal. So there's just a lot going on with this paint scheme, yet there's also not a lot because from a distance, it looks like it's only purple with a couple of random spots. I'm not its biggest fan, I've got to admit. Once again, thank you, Ally, for using the purple as a base and using just the giant A on the hood versus the word ally or the trickling down ally word like you used with Jimmy Johnson. But it's nowhere close to as good as last year's. It's nowhere as good as the 2021 car. I might even put it below the 2022 car, honestly. It's not my favorite Ally scheme. There's just too much randomness with it. And 4.8 out of 10. Now we get to some rookies. Zane Smith, first year in the Cup Series with Spire through Trackhouse. It's a lot of math. Him and SVG are going to have WeatherTech as sponsors. Imagine this on an Xfinity car. That's basically what SVG has. But Zane Smith, I like this paint scheme. It's simple. It's not too crazy. I've talked about a lot in this video how I don't like the all-white paint schemes, but this one does not bother me. They have a couple of cool blue and red stripes that flow well. WeatherTech, the hood logo being black is a little bit random when everything else is blue, white, and red. So that's just kind of a question mark for me because, as I said, everything else is red, white, or blue. And then you look at the hood and it's black. That is a little bit confusing, but other than that, it looks great. It looks fine. 6.5 out of 10. Now we go to Carson Hocevar. We've seen this paint scheme before. Ziegler has sponsored the 77 before with Josh Bilicki. And they're sponsoring Carson Hocevar now. It's the same paint scheme. Do what you want with that information. 7 out of 10. Well, that's it, apparently. I thought I had more. I did not have more. Let me know what your favorite paint scheme was out of the 15 or so that we looked at today. My favorite was, I know I'm wearing a Chase Elliott hat, but that Hooters number 9 car looked really, really good. Now, my least favorite was, do I let my Raptor hatred flow and say Raptor, or do I go with another? I'll probably go with Raptor. I'm a hater. I'm sorry. Let me know what your favorite paint scheme was in the comments. Let me know what your least favorite paint scheme in the comments was out of the ones we just talked about. As I said, there's going to be more paint schemes released throughout the year. I will talk about each, or not every single one of them, but we will talk about a good chunk of them at least into the 2024 season. I'm really looking forward to a couple that haven't been released. Ross Chastain, his Busch Light, Busch Beer paint scheme. That should be a good one. Busch Beer always creates great paint schemes. Daniel Suarez, Trackhouse. Just Trackhouse in general always creates great paint schemes. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. And as for everything else, I don't know. I guess some RFK paint schemes, they usually have some solid ones as well. But let me know in the comments which ones you're looking forward to as well. I know I just asked you, rate some of these paint schemes and all that. But thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next video. I'm probably going to do another diecast review this week, so look out in the community post for a poll asking you which one you want to review.